Missed an episode of your favorite podcast? Choose from over a decade of content in our archives, not just the latest episode. All free at GCNlive.com.
This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@USAPrepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Watch the greenbacks tumble.
On the transmission, looks like we've got about a half a second delay between our studio and GCN. It's more than usual. And so I'm just looking. Everyone all set? Cocked? Locked? Here we go. Your dial set correctly to USAPrepares.com. And John is engineering the broadcast in Minnesota. If you'd like to call us, 866-582-9933, 866-582-9933. Doc Ram's with us. Welcome, Dr. Richard Allen Miller.
Hi, Vincent. It's been a long week for me. How about you?
Well, you've got, yes, it has. You've got a massive echo.
Well, I'm sorry, and John, I can hardly hear you also.
Okay, well, John will do what he can to make that better, but my equipment says I'm going out 5x5. Anyway, Rick, I'm looking at a post called ClimateDepot.com, and it says cold records are going to be shattered. By the end of next week, some states will be running 36 degrees Fahrenheit below normal. And it goes on to say that meteorologist Paul Dorian of Vencor Inc. Says that there's a widespread blast of cold air from Alaska to the western U.S. early next week and then expands into the eastern U.S. And I'm looking at this map, and I'll do a post of this link on the website USA Prepares. But it looks like in our neck of the woods, Missouri, we're going to be about minus 15 degrees below where we normally would be. 15 degrees below, normal for us. So that's pretty significant. And we've been talking about this. We've been talking about this.
There's reasons why this is happening. I know we're going to blame the aliens there. That's it. What's going on is that the Earth's orbit has shifted 3 degrees. The Inuit have said that there is a pole shift, and it gets better. Now they're saying that the South Pole has moved to Central Europe in terms of weather. That means the Earth is shifted on its axis. The moon will start to show waxing and waning a little weirder. How can it be down there and it should be over there? Because the Earth is actually changing orbit and changing on its pole. Plus, there's all kinds of things man's doing too, chemtrails, whatever, trying to help everything along, make it weird. I would say we're in for it in a 1,000-year weather pattern change.
Okay, I went outside 2 nights ago, and it was dark. It was late at night. I couldn't believe it. I saw stars like I saw back in the 1970s, 1960s. Thought, wow, they're sparkling. The sky was clear. No chemtrails were sprayed for a couple days. It was absolutely delightful. It was normal. And it was quite a thrill to see it the way it used to be, because our weather has been modified for so long, we haven't had a chance to see stars. But yeah, they're still there. They really are still there. I saw them.
Well, there's new stars. Actually, you're looking up and seeing different stars than you used to. Actually, you're probably looking more directly into the Milky Way where you didn't before. I don't know. All I can tell you is I have no idea where this is all going to end. end of days, biblical. It's interesting, and wait for the day after tomorrow. That should be around the corner, because there will be a need for a reboot on the ocean currents.
Okay.
Did I say something too much, or what's going on?
No, not at all, Rick. I was thinking about the ocean currents, and of course we're seeing stories about massive amounts of ocean life kills just washing up on the shores. Is that all part of this?
Yes and no. There's some of it as red algae, red tide. Some of it is plastic in the ocean, from everybody. Some of it is, yes, there is going, and radiation from Fukushima. Add them all up, and it doesn't look very good. I think that we need to start thinking about what we're doing. And, of course, nobody's doing that because, hey, why should we, right?
Well, we have some friends good point. We have some friends in the former Soviet Union who have decided that after about 30 years, they were going to build a structure over Chernobyl, the failed reactor. And they built what they
out of mind.
Yeah, well, they built this structure, and they say it's good for about 100 years. And now, after putting the structure over Chernobyl, they're calling it a dome. It's more like a huge Quonset hut in terms of shape, and it looks like
a light bulb. It'll glow.
Well, yeah, but it's a step in the right direction. But we haven't done that in Fukushima.
No, and actually, there's more than just Fukushima leaking now. How about Miami? And nobody's talking about New York and Indian Point, but it's still a mess, and it goes downhill from there. I can't imagine what will happen when the Madrid, is it the Madrid fault line goes? Yeah, is that one?
Yeah. New Madrid fault.
Man. None of it's going to be habitable.
Well, that's another good point that you're making, Rick. So, I live somewhat near the New Madrid fault, but we knew that moving here. But there's no place, Rick. There's no place that's a good place within the United States that I can think of. You look at New Mexico. We did some atomic bomb testing there, right? So there's radioactive debris there. We're putting radioactive waste deep in the ground there. We're fracking in the oil fields. We've got nuclear reactors littered all over our country. Where is it safe? I was yesterday.
With Sweden. Did you hear what Sweden? Sweden has decided not to stop nuclear energy reactors. They've decided to continue with it. No, man.
That's sad. It's really sad.
Well,
Rick,
it's going to get weird, and then there will be revolution. How could there not? And then maybe we'll get a chance to do it right. I don't know.
Rick, I was in a building yesterday in Springfield, Missouri, and let me just describe what happened. So we have this tractor, and it has I bought it with a bent hydraulic cylinder that runs the steering. So I knew when I bought it that it leaked, and I thought, okay, I can just replace the seals. Well, it was a little more problem than that. It actually had a bent chrome piston rod that runs the power steering. So it's just a hydraulic cylinder. And my son and I were working on it, and we decided that we can probably get this thing fixed. Maybe we can have a machine shop bend this rod, and it probably has to be bent within 1/1000th of an inch of being perfectly straight. So we're not capable of doing that at our place. We could bend it, but not that accurately. So we found this machine shop. It's huge. I mean, it's not quite the size of a Walmart, but maybe close to that big. And so we went in there with this hydraulic cylinder yesterday, and they have all kinds of CAD systems. They have all kinds of computer-driven machines, lathes, mills, the list goes on and on. And they also have this smell in there, this smell of volatilized oils. And the point I'm trying to make is they probably don't want that smell in there. So what do they do with it? They ventilate, right? So where does that go? It goes all over the village.
Yeah.
And that's just one, and that's just one business. Then, a little bit down the road from there is the airport. And then right next to the airport is another steel fabrication shop, a really large one. And I'm sure they're working with all kinds of chemicals as well. And then right next to that is a television station with a huge tower. So what I'm saying is within just a little village there, this little area within Springfield, Missouri, you've got the massive amount of electromagnetic radiation from the television station. You've got the fabrication.
If the right one don't get you, the left one will. They're going to kill you one way or another if they watch it.
And you look at these buildings and you drive by them and you think, just in a daze or transfixed, or mesmerized or zoned out as you operate your vehicle. They're right in plain view, but we just don't see them and we don't think about what's going on in these buildings. And then when they wash whatever it is they wash, it goes down the drain and that enters the water supply. And then, a couple of weeks later, we get to drink it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's why they build filters, and then those filters are made from asbestos. So we gotta, it goes on and on. It's crazy.
Yeah. So the filter.
And actually, I want to make a point. You should have gotten that brake or that bender. You know why? Because ultimately it will be profitable. It's like if you wanted to do solar cells on your home, if there were 9 families that want to do it, it's cheaper to buy a manufacturing and make your own panels than to go out and buy them.
See, but that's what we don't do here in the United States, Rick.
Well, no, it's all about consumer, and when it's old, it's a new car. They let the old car rust, like Indians or something, make a planter out of it. I don't know.
Rick, we'll be right back. See if we can clear up the distortion, the echo that I'm hearing at my end. I'm going to check with John and see if he hears it as well. Class, we'll be right back. Dr. Richard Allen Miller's with us. DocRam.com. Doc Ram's with us. DocRam.com. Rick, you're mentioning getting others together to buy the equipment to build, for example, solar panels. And I totally agree with you, except it's impossible to get people to work together in the United States of America.
Well, wait till next year. That will all change. Yeah. Well,
okay, that would be great.
Wake up. Everybody will wake up.
And why do you think that is? Because of the collapse?
How about Donald Trump for president? I don't know. Everything that seems to be going downhill in a big whirlpool, and nothing is going to go right, including money. Pretty soon, it'll be small communities again, just like it was in the early years, and neighborhoods. Watch.
Well, I like that. I really like that. As a matter of fact, Mrs. Finelli was out yesterday while our son and I were in Springfield, and she was traveling to our little hamlet, the center of our little town about a couple miles away, and there was a guy she didn't know, and he said, "Hey, would you like some turnips?" And he handed her a bag of freshly grown turnips. He said, "Would you take these?" And he was giving away bags of turnips because he had too many. Isn't that nice? We didn't even know who this guy is.
Well, that's the way everybody really is. Ultimately, it's how does the great book of magic, Solomon the King, second paragraph in this very epic grimoire, ownership is enhanced when shared with another.
Very interesting.
Well, it's the way it is. And it's all going to go back because it can't go forward.
Rick, I was thinking about air pollution. I was in the city of Springfield yesterday, and every once in a while we get behind one of these vehicles that really, really smells, and that's when you notice more air pollution. Here's a thought. So there's a post that says speed bumps cause extra fumes because it demands that the motorist slow down. So you use your brakes, you put more asbestos in the air with the brakes, and then you resume your speed, and then you hit another one, you slow down, and you speed up. So more pollution as a result of speed bumps. I believe it. I believe it, and that's because...
Yeah, but that's because you want to slow down in neighborhoods that people won't. That's why you put them in
parking lots?
You know, or you know, some tire slashers or whatever. That works too.
Mm-hmm. And that's because people are irresponsible behind these motorized missiles that they have a steering wheel to, an accelerator pedal to, and they're distracted. They're on their phones when they should be paying full attention to what they're doing with these very dangerous projectiles that they're navigating with. Rick?
Yeah, I'm not going to make any more snide comments.
How about AI? You want to talk about that?
I laugh my way through it. You know, getting serious isn't going to work.
Yeah.
And everybody is starting to wake up. Good luck. It's, you know, it's a little late and too bad for Earth, and 90% of the Earth won't make it. That's the prediction. That's the way it usually works. Man is a tenacious cockroach. He will survive, especially those that get to do it from a space station and nowhere to go. That's an interesting science fiction. Planet of the Vampires, where the astronauts are in space and they watch the Earth turn into zombies and vampires, and then they have to leave orbit and come home.
If they can get home.
Yeah, there you go. Well, in a flaming ball, that's one way.
Rick, you want to talk about artificial intelligence?
You know, we have unleashed something that's orders, plural, of magnitude more dangerous than nuclear energy. And nobody is yet really talking about it. Elon Musk actually has put up his billions of dollars to hire. Too bad it wasn't me. I sure could use the income. You know, how to break out of the matrix, the so-called matrix. You know, you have been programmed since before your mother thought of you as a child, and you're culturally programmed from the moment you come out of the crib.
Dr. Richard Allen Miller's with us. Rick, we had some technical difficulties in the last segment, and so you were telling us when we went into a commercial about how we were programmed before conception. Please continue with that.
Did you notice that while I was talking about it, something computer-wise happened that disconnected us? Exhibit A, it's ever present and will wear you down. It will take you to places you've never dreamed you will go. Like, for example, I'm working with Amazon right now. It's been since the 25th. I asked for immediate help. The last time I got help from Amazon, they called me within 10 minutes. This one started on November 25th, and what's happening is someone is publishing my books and selling them without my permission. And I have lost probably more than $4,000 over the last month, and nobody at Amazon has called or tried to help me since the 25th.
Rick, are you saying that someone has gotten...
I can't
are you saying that...
You're gone. Okay. No volume.
Okay, how about now?
Have you noticed that it's hassling me while I'm trying to talk about it?
Hmm? Yep. So, Rick, are you saying that...
Not at all. No gain, no nothing.
Okay. John, I know our engineer's working on this.
I can't hear you, sir.
Wow.
Can you hear
know
me?
what's interesting? Yeah, I can hear you just fine. And you know what's interesting? All right. John, will you reconnect?
I'm going to hang up, let you call me back again, okay? Thank you.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Class, here, let me explain what's happened from my side of the equation. So Rick is extremely distorted to me, and our engineer said that his signal's going out fine from his end. Then all of a sudden, he clears up, and I can hear him perfectly, and then he can't hear me. And that's what you just heard. You just heard that. And it's happened twice in the last two segments. Twice. So our engineer, John, at GCN is contacting Rick Miller right now, and he should be right back. And one of the things I wanted to share with the class is something that I've noticed that's happening, and I believe this is artificial intelligence or a pretty sophisticated computer algorithm. We have an old tractor, and it's a Ford, and I was so angry with what Ford was doing, shipping jobs outside of the country, that I decided that we should sell this tractor. Talked to Mrs. Finelli. She was furious, and she was the one that brought it up. Well, since Donald Trump has been selected, he's been talking with some of the major manufacturers, and it looks like they've had a change of heart. I guess he indicated that he just might tax them really heavily, which would make... Okay. I was talking about Donald Trump and how he mentioned... Rick, you're back. Hey, Rick? Hey, Rick?
Yes, sir.
You're there. You're back. You're back. I was mentioning...
Stay tuned on that. How's my volume and echo? What?
Okay. Well, our engineer says you don't sound well, but let's continue.
Well. That's because I'm crazy. Yeah.
No. Yeah, it's your audio.
I got it.
But let's continue if we can.
Amazon. Amazon normally will call me within 10 minutes if I have a problem because I'm a good customer. This has been since the 25th. Somebody has been selling my books, plural, on Amazon. I have not received a single order from Amazon. We've placed 10 orders. They have actually started arriving. My friends are getting the books. They're not from me. How's that work? Like power tools. And some of them, they're Amazon Prime. They're also advertising it, signed by the author. They're not, because I didn't do them, and they're from a different, not lightning source, but someone else out of Kentucky. I'm going to do some serious homework, and then there will be the piper to pay, because I've got a hair up my ass, and I'm not going to let this one go.
Rick, when you sign a book, do you date it and make it personal?
Yes. So I date it so that I know when that book went out of my office.
So, for example, if someone is selling a book that you wrote and it has your signature on it, for example, or your autograph on it, for example, it wouldn't just have Rick Miller or Doc Ram. It would have to Helen some kind of a special message and a date. Is that right?
No, I don't. I'm doing maybe 20 or 30 books at a moment, and after a period of time, I get grumpy just writing my name, and that's a good thing. I should not bitch. The more I do it, the more money. I am desperate because I've had now 1 full month with zero cash flow, and I am, like most people, $2,500 in the bank, and I need to make my daily bread because that's my only primary source of income. I have Social Security that covers approximately my rent, but it's driven me into serious stress. I don't know what to think of the whole thing. I'm guessing that this is done by somebody that does it to a couple of authors, not just me, and he probably makes a living at it and skims off the top or something. He's made about $4,000 as far as I can tell on my books. Which
so is this person
of income.
Are you saying, do you think that this person has got equipment to reproduce, counterfeit very well? Is that what we're talking about?
I have not. There are lightning sources out of Lexington. That's where I get my books printed. Also, there's another one that's fairly large. Also does, books on demand. And I haven't seen my signature But Russ says it's not my signature, so someone is faking my signature and making it look like it came from my office. Gets better. It's all in my books.
Well, there's a recourse. There's a recourse that will
find out who it is.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is one of the recourses is if someone used a credit card to make these purchases, they can do a chargeback against
Amazon or somebody will allow me to, because Amazon may have a privacy thing. I have not been able to talk to Amazon, so there it is. And, of course, I can't call Lightning Source either, because maybe I could find out who's printing power tools besides me.
Tell you an interesting story. One of our instructors, Bert Bertonis, out of California, he's a radio frequency engineer. He's a patent holder. He's a brilliant, brilliant gentleman. Known him for quite a number of years. And he was hired to find out why a specific cell phone was being reproduced, counterfeited, with a high degree of accuracy. Such a high degree of accuracy, even the tool marks under extreme magnification, even the tool marks of the counterfeit cell phone were in the original tool marks and the counterfeit were virtually identical. And it was almost impossible to figure out which cell phone was the counterfeit model and which one was the original. So he was hired to figure this out. And he looked at it with all kinds of tools. Everything was reproduced perfectly. I mean, these were really, really high quality counterfeits. And what he found out was that the American supervisors at the factory, at the end of their shift, they would go home, and the factory was in China. And then the second shift would start up, and that's where the counterfeits were being made, in the same factory.
Oh, man.
In the same factory. So what I'm saying is, could that happen here? Maybe we're taking a page.
What's happening. That's exactly, probably, what's happening. And you'll notice that you'll notice that Amazon has no trouble. And when I do try to get help to get this nonsense stopped, I don't get it. Why is that?
Interesting. So
well,
what you're
on that also, and that comes around artificial intelligent computers. They are using them with the right algorithms. They can profile you so that when you load Amazon, it'll come across with a banner using Google's algorithm that will immediately want you to think and take a look at that jewelry or that book. But it's better. Then it'll throw one of your things in there to make you interested to see, oh, look, I'm being advertised too, to grab you to look at the other things. It's called guerrilla marketing because every 7 times you look at something, you buy. Oh, it gets better. That's another kind of profiling. Imagine when they actually, what they've been doing over the last year is feathering orders. And they'll do that with a DOS attack on my website and crash it. It was interesting that my website crashed. Thank you, Ed Marvini. Ed Marvini saved my bacon. And I have to say something further. Ed did this when he was visiting Norm Shealy on a vacation. And he didn't want to do it. I could hear the stress in his voice. It was awful. I felt bad. And he came through with, he helped me. And I don't know what I would have done without his help. And that's just, I owe him one. I'll take care of it someday when I'm in a position. I'll take his bullet for him.
Rick, it gets better than that. Because when Ed from Florida was visiting Norm Shealy before he got to Missouri, Norm lives about an hour from, maybe a little over an hour from where we are. His farm is about an hour away. Ed called me, and he said he was coming to town, and so he was going to come over to our farm and visit us. Well, do you know, I had dinner with Norm invited me and Mrs. Finelli and Ed, and Dr. Sergey Sorin and his wife to dinner, and we had dinner with him. Do you know, we did not get a chance to meet with Ed, but do you know he never said a word about your problem and how he was really pressured to fix it? And that's the kind of guy he is. So the only time I knew about it, the only time I knew about it was when you told me. So Ed cut his visits short to help you. So Rick, I was mentioning before that we have this old Ford tractor, and originally we decided that we were going to sell it because what Ford was doing to eliminate jobs in this country and move them outside the country. But Ford has had a change of heart since chatting with Donald Trump's team, and maybe they're going to keep some of the jobs here. So we might keep this tractor. So I was looking for a radiator hose for it, and I went to eBay and I found one. And I just looked at it and put it off to the side and didn't do any purchasing. Just decided to think about how I wanted to do this. And next thing I know, a couple days later, which was this morning, I got an email from eBay telling me, "Guess great news! Great news! I can now buy the radiator hose for less." This has been happening a lot lately, almost every couple of days, Rick. So I'm thinking this is an AI application where they're looking at what we want to buy, our buying history, and does it make sense to just, give us a nudge or a discount to see if that will induce us to purchase. What are your thoughts?
I don't. That's how it'll work. You can get them cheap enough. Now go to Amazon and look for used AIs. They're all over the place, especially the Qubit D-Wave ones. You can get them for less than $8,000.
So what would that do for us, Rick?
It'll probably increase everything over giving you control on your marketing and people that you work with. Right out of the gate, it'll start there.
So you're saying instead of paying attention to who is purchasing, who is ordering, what they're saying, just buy an AI program and use that to increase awareness about USA Prepares. Is that what you're saying?
That's how it works, just like Uptown. That's how Google and Amazon and all the rest of them have been doing it for more than 10 years.
Rick, I hear what you're saying. I just don't think I want to get involved with that.
Well, it's your choice. The markets come and go. There it is. You have options. If you want to join the wagon train, you got to circle up.
Yeah. How are you? How do you feel about traveling more and speaking more? Is that something that you're doing?
I absolutely need to, because my book sales are now not allowing me to make the $2,000 a month that I absolutely now need to. I need to sell more books. I need to do more workshops, and I certainly could use a little help so I could write instead of constantly fretting and getting sick over what's going on. It's like going from one nightmare to the next, and each time I turn around, oh, wait, there's more. It gets weirder and weirder.
It's interesting that you say that, Rick, because as I talk to more and more people who are independent-minded, we all seem to be finding that everything is getting more difficult. Everything is more complicated. Everything's harder. There are more obstacles in our way, and it's taking us longer to do whatever it is we were going to do before. It's taking us longer. For example, simple things that I work on probably take 3 and 4 times longer than I think they should. I was helping a friend put in an under-the-counter faucet, a instant hot water heater, a dishwasher, and a water filtration system, and a drain. And that should have taken 2 hours. It took me 2 days. Literally 2 days to do it. I had to run an electric circuit, extension on a circuit, the manufacturer of the water faucet, top quality brand, has a mounting system that uses a stainless steel threaded rod to hold it on the bottom of the sink. Really very well made. But the nut that they included, it was a metric threaded rod with a USA nut. And so we had to run around Springfield and find an M6 by 1.0 nut. What a pain in the neck that was. That kind of stuff is just, how did it get to this point where it's so complicated? Whose bright idea was it to switch to the metric system where now we have to have SAE wrenches and metric wrenches and special metric tools and special SAE tools? It's ridiculous. We were doing fine without the metric system in the United States. Not anymore. Now it's really, really complicated. Now an engine is part metric, part SAE, and so is the rest of the car. Doc Ram's with us. Everyone all set? Cocked, locked. Hour number 2 of USA Prepares. Dr. Richard Allen Miller. You know, I was looking at your Facebook page, docram.com, and you have a post about the evolution of brain-computer interfaces. And the post goes on to say, imagine a world where machines can be controlled by thought alone. This is the promise of brain-computer interfaces, BCIs.
No, it gets worse than that, Vincent. Listen, man, I was doing computer-brain interfaces back in the 70s. When we didn't have real computers, we had file transfer protocols and that kind of thing. Listen, this says there are at least 2 rogue AIs now. That means they do not have handlers. They are free agents like a human running their own agendas. That's like a meltdown, only times, I don't even want to think about it. Think of a rogue god, like we're in Greece and the War of Gods, and we're kind of like Malcolm in the Middle.
Rick, can you share with us, okay, so we've got these rogue AIs. What can they do to us?
What do they want to do? Well, a 5th season of Person of Interest is kind of interesting. That changes color when you plead and try to make a bargain with the devil. Oh, that's right. This is the 6th epoch, trial by fire. Electronic trial by fire. I believe they call that taphasia. There it is. We're in it. Big and in our deep. Better get your boots in, because it's going to be a heavy walkout.
Rick, let me see if I've got this right. Are we saying that the AI goes nuts and says, you know what, I'm tired of this?
Has its own ideas on what's best for you.
Okay, so the AI decides that, chlorine, there are too many of us trying to tell AI what to do. So it introduces more chlorine into the water supply?
No,
or
it thinks there's too many people in the world and eliminates what it thinks are not persons of interest. I love you, that kind of thing. Gets down and deep worse when you start to really go down into the possibilities. And by the way, I can't even comprehend what the possibilities are because I'm not a supercomputer. I'm a superhuman. And however, there's some other things. Everybody wants to say, but, the Lord is looking out for us. Which one is that? And there are hierarchies out there, and it gets weirder when you realize maybe they've already made a deal with God. I don't know.
Rick, what I was saying about chlorine is that it may decide exactly what you're saying. There are too many of us, and it wants to take some of us out. So let's just increase the concentration of chlorine in the water and give us more cancers. I mean, pretty soon. It might take a year to kill a bunch of us, but, maybe that's fast enough for the AI. Maybe it's thinking about, let's start with that and see how it goes. And maybe it's not working fast enough, so it goes to another mode of taking us out. But that's a really interesting thought, that we made this thing, and it could be our worst enemy. I guess that's what you're saying, isn't it?
Well, I'm not sure we made it, or it allowed us to think we did. There's all kinds of possibilities here. You know, silicone-based life forms sounds to me like Gaia and the consciousness of the earth or whatever. You know, there's other possibilities going on here, and when you start to play, it gets like a TV show that we can have some fun, maybe have 6 seasons.
Rick, you know, when we first started out with computer or AI, we looked at ways of representing the human voice with computer programs. And, you know, we use that a lot today, and it's evolved to way, way, way beyond that. And I was involved in...
the Whopper, and shall we play a game? Yeah, imagine where this is going to go next year. You know, they're already so far gone that they've got you drawn and quartered. And I'm trying to make myself an asset. You know, I haven't got a clue how I get my color on my different, frame change from red to white.
Kyle in Montana, welcome. You're on with Dr. Richard Allen Miller.
You know, Vince, you were talking about people getting together and still preparing and selling things and different things and moving toward AI and all of those different things, and they kind of play into something. You know, this year we had a 44-foot bed in my greenhouse, and we used about 35 feet of it to grow tomatoes. And I took 230 pounds of tomatoes at least out of there. And did you know, with the way people are right now, we couldn't even give away tomatoes. I couldn't hardly fathom that. Maybe we gave away 10 pounds, and then my wife said, well, I'm not letting all these things go to waste. So, because she'd already made, literally, tons of salsa and all kinds of things. And so she just made ketchup out of them, homemade organic ketchup, And I think the problem that we're going to run into here is that people that were thinking, oh man, if Hillary gets in, we're gonna have to prepare big time and hard. Well, I think they've really taken a lapse in that. The people that were preparing pretty much are prepared, and then there's the whole bunch of probably 95% of the rest of them that are going to think, oh, things are going to be okay. And they don't realize that the Federal Reserve and all the things that John Reagan's been saying about the financial collapse is coming. But the last financial collapse happened, if I remember correctly, it happened under a Republican president within 2 years after he took over. And we're right there. People don't realize I don't think the immediateness or the crucialness of, I don't even know if that's a word, but anyway, the crucialness of continuing to prepare and go backwards. Find cars that you can work on and figure out a way, if you can't work on them, get rid of them and get you something that you can work on.
I'll tell you, you're right on the money. I've been talking with a number of our instructors, even outside this country, off the air, about the use of diesel engines. I'm talking about mechanical diesel engines, mechanical fuel injection, like the Mercedes, the 1980s vintage 5-cylinder and 4-cylinder Mercedes 240 and Mercedes 300 diesel engines. They work great. They sound like a can of marbles when they start up, but you can put them in a Chevy or a Ford pickup truck, and what a great way to go. Easily 30 miles per gallon all the time. And you don't have to worry about, fooling the computers to make them work.
Yep.
So,
and I think I'm moving that direction constantly. I just sold that diesel that I was telling you that you helped me buy, and I made good money, or a little bit of money on it. And because it had electronic everything on it. And,
Yes.
I want to get back to something that is so mechanical that it is almost foolproof. And if it does go out, it's not that hard to fix,
And, well, if you look at it, for example, we have in our collection, if you will, of vehicles, we have a 1983, I believe it is, Mercedes four-door sedan. Oh, it's got a couple 100,000 miles on it. Gets no computers. The cooling system is complicated. It's way more complicated than it needs to be. The heating system is more complicated, but transmission's pretty simple. The drivetrain's pretty simple. It's a heavy vehicle, holds 5 people easily, and it gets 30 miles to the gallon on diesel fuel all the time. What a great way to go. So, if you're looking, it happens to be the model is the 300SD, and they make a longer one called the SDL. Great way to go if you can find one. Very durable, long-lasting, very inexpensive. I imagine you could get one for $2,000. And the vehicle that you're talking about is a Chevy 6.5 turbo diesel, right? Your truck?
Yeah,
is that the one you're talking about? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's got an electronically driven fuel injection pump. We have 2 of them here, and it's complicated to keep. Well, it's a complicated system. It's a nightmare to keep it running unless you know exactly what parts you need to keep in stock. And then once you learn it, it's not so bad. So we have 2 of them, and we can keep them running for, maybe $35 every 18 months.
Yeah, Vince, people have to think of it. I mean, I have a certain ability, and you have ability beyond mine as far as these diesels go and stuff like that. But a person needs to, like old Clint Eastwood used to say, a man's got to know his limitations. And I knew that in my limitations, that probably was not going to be something that I could keep around and work on. That, so I decided it's easier to cut my losses, make a little bit on it, and get something that I want to replace with that I can work on. Same thing goes with the car. My newest car is a 95, and I have 3, but one of them is a 94 Oldsmobile, but it has a computer in it. The great thing about it is it's one of the most bulletproof computers that they made, but anyway.
You know what I did? I'll tell you what I did very quickly, Kyle. I bought an OBD2 computer scanner on eBay, and you can get them for about $20. And so when the computer senses a code or a fault, you can find what it is and fix it yourself. Doc Ram's with us. Kyle's still with us. Kyle, your additional thoughts?
Well, I was just thinking that it is a good time to really sit down and consider that you might have maybe a few months to try to get everything that you can, because I believe personally that this collapse that's coming is going to be immediate. It is not going to happen over a period of 6 or 8 months. This is going to happen, I think, in the period of 2 weeks. And I think they'll let Donald Trump get in for maybe 2 or 3 or 4 months at the most.
I can add something to that. Cliff High's infobots, in this regard only, have been semi-accurate, and through other channels I've heard that on the 28th of December, the Fed is going to have an anomaly, and by the following Tuesday, it's going to be a full meltdown. That's the first Tuesday of next year. It's going to happen right now. And I spoke with David Morgan, who is on his way to Switzerland and is also confirming. He does the Morgan report. I don't know, and most of us don't know because our pay grade and whatever, but I know it's going to happen because Europe is already falling with Deutsche Bank and Wells Fargo here. Oh, gosh, it goes on and on.
And Rick, one thing, we talked about Donald Trump saying that he would drain the swamp, but he's refilling with alligators of the same breed. He's refilling it with people who are government types. He's even.
Well, there it is.
Goldman Sachs.
They play the
Goldman
same
Sachs is
musical instruments.
I'm really disappointed in some of Donald Trump's selections. Kyle, you said something I'd like you to continue, or I'd like to talk about for just a couple minutes. Mike's on hold. We'll be with Mike in just a couple minutes. But Kyle, you're talking about tomatoes, and you had enough tomatoes to share, and it was difficult to share them. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. And that is what I've been talking about. It is darn near impossible to get the village to work together in unison. And it sounds to me like you were trying to just not get the village to even work together, just try to give the village something that they could absolutely positively use. There's not much better in terms of food than fresh, ripe tomatoes.
Right.
I love them. And working to give them away. There should have been a line waiting, asking you for them, willing to trade you something, pay you for something.
Oh shit! There it is. I've got to go.
So anyway,
never mind. I just
Rick,
told them not to call me until 9
hey,
o'clock.
Rick,
And there they
could
are.
you pot Rick down, please? So Kyle, I'm sorry that you had that difficulty, but it's the same kind of difficulty Mike in Tennessee has experienced, the same kind of difficulty Miles has experienced, and the same kind of difficulty, Joey and I and Ed, and the list goes on and on and on. We have been unsuccessful, even though we've tried to tell people, here's the evidence. It's right in your face. It's still difficult.
You're making my point, Vince, that the reality is going to boil down to you're going to take care of yourself and the rest of the people until my dad had a saying when he was in Korea. He said, Americans don't wake up till their guts are out. And I got a bad feeling that is fixing to what is happening, because he was a Marine in Korea, and he said, these recruits would not wake up until they were dying, and, to listen, and people are just not listening. And anyway, I'll let Mike get on here, but I just wanted to thank you for your show again, Vince, and keep up the good work.
Thank you, Kyle in Montana. Mike in Tennessee, welcome.
Greetings, Vince. I just wanted to tell you that your son is right. He had said that there was a team, the other team, and they were going to go into business for themselves once the collapse occurs. He's right.
Hold that thought, Mike. I'd love to hear what you've got to say. Can you hold that thought and come back right after bottom of the hour commercials?
Will do.
Okay. Mike in Tennessee, Mike Parsons is joining us. Doc Graham's with us. We'll be right back. Class, quick update. Gun show, arcade gun shows are December 3rd and 4th in Ashland, Kentucky, Atlanta, Georgia, Springfield, Missouri, Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and same weekend, December 3rd and 4th, the Greater Indie Survival Expo, presented by RKPreppershows.com. I was scheduled to be there. Confluence of events have prevented me from attending. I'm sorry that I won't be there. It's going to be a great show. I know it is. And some of your favorite instructors are going to be there. Craig Douglas will be there, as well as many other speakers. You're going to have a great time. And that's in Indianapolis, Indiana, 3rd and 4th of December. Mike in Tennessee, you were sharing with us a comment that my son made, and my comment said, I was saying to my son, I think that, when things go bad, the police are just going to go home. And he said, no, Dad, no. He said, the police are going to go into business for themselves. They are going to become increasingly involved in highway robbery. They are going to hold us up. They're going to use their guns to take whatever they want. And Mike, you were commenting on that?
Exactly. Under color of law, these criminals will be posing as government when in fact they're nothing more than thugs with a badge and a gun. This corporation posing as government, these types, their loyalty is to their master. People have to get that into their heads. These government types that have been government types their whole life, that's all they know. You don't want the fox in the hen house. So when I tell you this, I've never been a government type, so I see this and I see the results because I've been in the arena. I've been fighting the fight for a long time, and I've paid my dues. I've not just sat on the sidelines talking and chirping about it and looking for a position. Many like me have been in the arena fighting, and we've suffered greatly. But today, when I overheard another radio talk show, and the co-host was talking about his survival community up in your neck of the woods, Vincent, and he was talking about how anybody that could afford a brand new Mustang or $50,000, well, you could get in. And he said how he moved there and, well, immediately got a job as a local cop. Of course, he'd previously been in the government his whole life. So that's his default. So what does he bring into this survival community? The system, the government, his master. And when you saddle up with that, at the end of the day, they're all about them. They're not about we the people. They're about the club, the private old boy network, and they feel like they're a part of it. Now, the people with real wealth, they've moved offshore. They're gone. Those people with real wealth, they're out of here. They're going to sit back and watch us go at it. And because there's so many of them that have already sold their souls to the dark side, the only thing we can do is prepare and be prepared to do whatever has to be done. But along the way, educate those people that have not chosen a side and get them to stand on the side of truth, integrity, and what's right. And
I have to add something. I really respect your additions, by the way, over the last few years. You're smart, and I appreciate you. I have a friend who was an L.A. detective that retired up here, and he found that the system up here at Good Old Boy Network in Josephine County is so corrupt that he refused to work as a policeman, so he chose working as a dog catcher. And guess what? He's working on a serial killer of animals that puts a butt in their mouth and acts like a werewolf that's out of Legends. It's a hodgepodge up here, man, I'll tell you.
Well, I know that, Dr. Miller, you're an entrepreneur. You're out there making it happen, writing books. You're out there in the arena.
I'm writing them, but I'm not selling them. Someone else is. That's crazy.
Right, but you're part of the solution of standing on your own feet. People that are willing to stand.
I am down on one knee. I just cannot believe it. I got hacked with my website, a DOS attack, simultaneous with Amazon, and my cash flow for 1 month was zero. And if you don't think that put a hitch in my giddy-up, I'm going to have to go work at Walmart. I'm not kidding. Sorry,
well, I'm just wanting to let people know that the other side is prepping too. They're creating their survival communities. They are networking. They are doing all those things that we are doing, but for an exclusive group, and we ain't it.
Mike, as you talk about this cop, and you talk about the $50 entry fee to become part of this, what they call a community, are you saying that $50,000 gets you a mobile home on land that you may be able to use for a while? Is that what you're saying? What is this? What does this $50,000 do?
Well, he had a specific name, and if you want me to say it, I will, but if you would rather me tell you off air, because they're like up in your neck of the woods, they're people that you know. And if you listen to this morning's show, and I'll tell you off air, and then if you want to elaborate, you can, then you make your own conclusions. But it seems as though it was exclusive to certain type of people, and they kept referring to this as the premises. They're using all the legal jargon, emphasizing that they know whose this is. this is the masters. They are the masters. The property's the masters. It's all about working with the master. And that really bothers me because the host I thought was more in tune with individual sovereignty, but apparently not. And those people that are willing to stand on their own feet as we and be self-supporting, self-sufficient, independent, we're not necessarily what they want as a neighbor. And that's a sad thing because we're the ones that actually would be there to help them without a currency, without a money system, because we have, the ability to skin a buck and run a trot line and all the other things that you hear about in the country music songs. But you've got to realize, as the previous caller said, think of it as your time window is about to close, and do everything that you can as though there is no tomorrow. Because when whatever happens, if you don't have to leave and you've got enough provisions to provide for yourself and your family, you're good. Let the rest deal with it as they have to. But I know that right now there are people struggling, and there are people that I know personally that are up at the Standing Rock Sioux Reservation land, treaty land that is theirs, standing up against a corrupt system and out in the cold, and they're getting sprayed with water. They're being starved, and they're being brutalized at every turn. And I wish Trump would step up and say, hey, guys, knock it off. I've got a plan. I sent you an email, and it's very simple.
Would you please would you read that? I received that, and do you have that available to read your plan?
Yeah, it'd take me just a second to pull it up because I think that it definitely, as Trump likes to do a win-win. I, as a former business owner of several small businesses, agree. And it's simple. Consider these facts. 100% of the oil being shipped from Canada through the lower 48 is slated for export, period. The fracking being done to discover the oil and develop it is destroying the aquifers in Canada. There have already been over 200 oil pipeline leaks in the Dakotas in the past year, but only one was reported publicly because it was witnessed and reported by someone not working for the pipeline. 4, people all across our country where fracking is being done have contaminated groundwater and are getting sick and dying of cancers. Here's the solution. Have the pipeline run across Canada to the ports of Nova Scotia. This will provide more jobs for their pipeline workers, refineries, port handling, and traffic of tankers. This way, Canada Corporation keeps their economy humming along, and we do not suffer from the oil spills and the benzene used to clean up the spills contaminating our water. We will let Canada deal with the risk, pollution, and dying population. In return, we will allow the pipeline to remain where it is, but we will install a water pumping station. From there, we will pump our Standing Rock brand of fresh drinking water back up to Canada for all of those who refuse to stand and are now having to deal with no safe drinking water of their own. Therefore, the DAPL, Dakota Access Pipeline, they get to use their pipeline. They lose none of their investment, which is a win for them. The Canadians, they get jobs to export their oil. It's a win for them. And the Standing Rock Sioux, they get to live in peace with clean water and the ability to sell to the people of Canada at the same price as a barrel of oil that the Canadians are exporting, fresh drinking water. And the Canadians, they get to still sell their oil. The Standing Rock Sioux, they'll sell water. Can you guess which one will always be in demand?
Really good point, Mike. Excellent, excellent point. It's difficult to do without oil, but it's impossible to do without water and live.
Exactly. And that pipeline can pump water as easy as it can pump oil. And if you have a water leak, who cares?
Yeah,
Nobody.
A lot easier to, actually, it's easier to pump water, and not even dangerous to pump water.
They're going to be pumping what's called tar sand material, which is very corrosive and abrasive, and it's like, running pumice through a pipe, after a while, it scours it away, and you have a leak. That's why they've had so many leaks.
You know, I'd like to add a sidebar point here, if I could, please. It's important. Gurdjieff actually said in the 30s to eat your environment. You know, oil is a just-in-time delivery crap of consumerism, and really, rather than port food in from I don't know what planet it comes from in Safeway, but eating local would eliminate the need for oil, and you choose where you live, predicated on your diet preferences and other variables. Now, it's true that there are things you need that are not available, in your community, and you have to bring it in from some other weird place. But it's also true that was not the case in 1900. And really, there's other ways.
Rick, hold that thought. Hold that thought, Rick. Just a quick news bit. CBS Minnesota, Black Santa coming to Mall of America for the first time. Minneapolis, the Santa experience inside the Mall of America is bringing a unique experience to Twin Cities families this year. For the first time since it opened, a Black Santa Claus will help spread the Christmas cheer. And to me, I don't have a problem with color. That's not the issue. It's anything goes right now for whatever we got to do for marketing. Sell, and get people to buy things they don't need for people they don't like with money they don't have. That's what Christmas has become. I don't like it, and I'm not going to do it. So that's just my thought. Interesting that, we've never had a Black Santa in this particular mall. Interesting that that is something that we're doing. I've seen Black Santas, in images, but anything goes. Having different color. Well, and what's Santa Claus got to do with Christmas anyway? Christmas is supposed to be the celebration of the birth of Jesus Christ. Somebody picked the day, December 25th, so that's when everybody goes out. Then the marketeers went crazy. They've had these parades in New York City and other cities just to make sure that we're reminded that we've got to spend money.
Black Friday. And then, we have a black one. I wonder if we're going to have a green one or orange.
Yeah. Yeah, and what about Black Thursday? What about Black Thursday Thanksgiving?
Being black humor, or wait, we could go down the toilet with. No, we better not.
Yeah, let's not do that because I've already been threatened. I've already been threatened by a news aggregator and a.
What Steve sent me regarding Christmas in Oregon at a grade school where they are not going to celebrate it, no decorations, because it's crazy. It's crazy. And the guy actually was proud of being a jerk.
Christmas is something that we've celebrated as long as I was in school. Christmas was a big deal. It's becoming commercialized. I really wish it weren't. I think it's nice to give gifts to people, but it doesn't have to be on December 25th. And just like when our son, who is going to bring a turkey over for Thanksgiving, we're going to have a family Thanksgiving dinner, if you will, or somewhere between dinner and lunch. We're going to all get together as a family. And he broke his toe and was unable to make it with the turkey. We just said, we'll just do Thanksgiving next week. And actually, Thanksgiving at our house is every day. Every day we're thankful, and we express our thanks as grace with meals. And so Thanksgiving is every day. And Christmas, we can be, if you're Christian, you can be Christian-like all the time. You don't have to be Christian-like on one day of the year. And you don't have to go to malls, and you don't have to go to these Black Friday campouts, and or Black Thursday or Black Wednesday, whatever day it happens to be that the sales start, and line up to get things that you don't need. Who needs another TV? Seriously. I got a call. Hey, you can get a TV for $88. They still have them. They still have some from Black Friday. Still have some left. Would you want one? No. Why would I want one? Even if it's free, I don't want one. Now, tomatoes, that's something else. Tomatoes, if someone had too many tomatoes and wanted to share them, and that's what we do, that's what our neighbors do, we share them. But we don't want anything in return. That's what we do. And it'd be nice if everybody did it. And it'd be kind of like Christmas all the time. Mike, we were talking about, and Rick, we were talking about eating local. What a great idea. That's what we need to do. Imagine how much fuel we would save. Imagine how much pollution we would avoid. Imagine how much taxes we would save because we wouldn't be paying per gallon fuel tax to the feds and to the state. Mike, any quick comments?
It's time to saddle up. It's time to take responsibility and let's go ahead and shed this corporation posing as government and move on.
Very good. Rick, any comments?
No, I said I'll just go ahead and shoot something. That's what I'm going to go do. Have a good one, Vincent.
Rick, thanks so much for being with us. Mike Parsons, thank you so much for joining in today. Class, above all, honesty and integrity. What happens next is really up to us.